Hi, welcome to MTX Podcast. Today we will be diving deep into operations as being a bridge to sales, delivery, and finance. With that being said, it is one of the most overlooked and important feature of any consulting business. So hi, I am Himanshu Bhansali, Director of Consulting Operations at MTX, and along with me I have...
Hi, I'm Kriti Jain. I am the Vice President Finance at MTX.
All right, so let's start the conversation. We'll start the conversation with a role reversal. So Kriti, if I give you an opportunity to wear the operation shoes and take a backseat at finance, and if I do the same and I take as finance lead role, so what are the different things that are you going to do and that will make a change?
Well, that's very interesting, by the way. I think if I am into operations, I will start with bringing in a giant whiteboard and writing on it clarity, because I personally feel that in most of the organization, the chaos does not come because of lack of efforts. It's basically because people don't know what is expected out of them. So if I was into operations, I think I will make the processes less mechanical and more human, because processes do not drive results. People do. That is what I can think of right now. What about you? Like if you were in finance?
Yeah. So first, let me say that you have put it very brilliantly, saying that it should be people focused and people oriented. If I were in the finance shoes, I think the very first thing that I would do is bring budgetary control. I will ask everybody to come with a flow chart and give us a rationale. Why do we actually need it or not? So with that, because this is the basic question that is being overlooked most of the time, because we have a tendency to go into things and do things at a very fast pace, when this question takes a backseat, that why do we actually need it or not? So I think that should be the very first thing that I would do. But you tell me, what do you feel about it?
Well, because I am into finance, I feel that finance is not about controlling the spend. Like how I see it, I feel it that basically our focus is more on that, where do we want to take this company to? And depending on that, we try to build area around, like where we want to invest, where we do not want to invest, what is our goal, what is our vision. And accordingly, like there are times when things are necessary, which from one look you would say it's not necessary to spend there. But then if the vision demands it, if there is a long-term benefit that the organization is going to get out of it, then I would say let's do it. So it's all about taking the risk. Risk ability has to be higher. But same, like I completely agree with you that these are the things which are very much overlooked. Like if I talk about operations, I see that mostly in the organization we talk a lot about sales, delivery, and finance. But there is this unsung hero, which is operations, which connects all three departments together. So if a deal is closing, then I think it's operation comes into the picture, where it makes sure that it is delivered on time, within scope and profitability. So this is what I feel. Like you have been into operations for like so many years. What is your take? Where are we going with this? And is the mind shift about operations shifting in the organization? Are they calling it more now?
Since I've been long in this industry, I've seen this industry evolve over a period of time. So when we started, typically at that point in time, sales, delivery, and even finance, they were their own universe. So they were working independently without being consulting with each other. However, there has been a very much change in what used to happen. Today, when you think why operation plays a major role, and even in those days, operation was a backseat function. Today, it is not a backseat function. You have to understand it in a way that it is the one function that bridges all of these teams together. Now, how it does is, when sales typically work, they think about pipeline and target and bookings that they need to achieve. Delivery only thinks about how they need to do the implementation and get the project done. And finance typically comes into picture later at the end, when they typically see that now we have to reconcile the numbers. So I personally feel that finance being talked about, they are usually dependent upon sales and delivery to drive their predictions. However, it should not be like that. And my question to you would be, since you have been with finance for a very long period of time, I think finance should take that role of getting us to not just to report numbers, but to predict numbers, get with the forecasting, get with the projections. So how are you coming up with that?
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. I 100%, and all our efforts recently in my department has been towards that how we can be involved, how finance can be involved before the deal is closed. Like at the time when you are in the make of, when you are thinking about what is going to be the scope, how are you going to price it, what are the numbers, and then finance recce it, finance look at it properly, and then if once their approval is done, and then the other formalities are done, like while the deal is closed. So I 100% agree, because towards the end, when we get the data to reconcile, at that time we are not in the position to make any changes or make any recommendation, because the deal is done, it's gone. So if we have been asked or consulted a long time ago, or maybe before the deal is closed, then how the entire story is told could be different. So yes, I think you're on point on that.
Yeah, and even I think the way we are moving with the generation of AI, I think we need to make it more predictable for the company to predict and project revenue in terms, or rather than working in silos and being dependent upon sales and delivery numbers. That is going to be a very big change for the company, because once you have the knowledge about what is happening, what is going to get closed, then it becomes super essential and easy for the finance team to take reaction on it. So rather than we should be reacting to things, we should be proactive and predicting results rather than being reactive to things.
Yeah, no, I completely agree to you. I think as you said, that if we are proactive about it, if we know what's going to happen, we could be ready with our results. We could be ready that what's coming is what expected. Like for example, if we are entering into a new market and we know that we want to, create our presence in that particular market, so we'll have a number in our mind and we'll know about it, that we want to do some kind of investment in that particular area. And I would keep a budget aside just for that, because I know there is going to be a return of investment that I'm going to be getting. But then if you are at somewhere where the scope is increasing, the client is not that great maybe, and we still want to maintain the relationship, but we want to do not cross the line where it's impacting our finances, those kind of decisions should be taken beforehand, and not when it's too late, and then now we are trying to somehow manage it and somehow manage the impact on our financials. So yes, everywhere I think the sales, the delivery, the finance, and everybody has to sing this song together, I would say.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And let me take this conversation to a different side. What do you think about sales to delivery handoffs? Because this is, I think, one of the most common, and I believe it is a solvable problem that we see across industry. Mm-hmm. So what is your take on it?
Well, I think currently sales is all focused on their pipelines, what are the bookings that they're going to be doing, what are the markets that they're going to tap. And delivery is all focused about, okay, now this deal is in my hand, how do I successfully deliver this particular project? But somehow there is a gap where they are not looking into each other's shoes or trying to fit into each other's shoes, thinking that, okay, how, like my scope has to be in a certain way that the delivery will be able to, perform it well, or the scope is covered within the given timelines and everything. And similarly, delivery has to think that what was sold, what are our expertise, what was the idea behind, what was the calculations behind when the deal was closed. So if they would know, and especially while I'm saying that, I also feel that delivery should know what exactly are we achieving while developing, while delivering this particular product. If they will have, and everybody who is a part of those two teams, I think if they know exactly that what we are doing, the impact will be very different. And I think because operations has been is the one team that actually connects. What is your take? You think that they can do it a little differently, which is going to create a better impact?
What I typically think is we need to connect all of these pieces together through data. And I think data holds a big position in the company. So for example, if sales, delivery, finance, everything look at the same set of data, same dashboards, same key KPIs, I think they would be able to relate better to the company. For example, now sales has visibility into what utilization looks like or what project margins are looking like. Delivery has visibility into what has been sold, right? What is the upcoming bookings are, and finance know everything upfront, and even delivery now takes or basically concerned about what if a timeline delay that I do, what it is going to cost on the project. So if they understand all of these dynamics which are together shown in a particular dashboard, or the same data is being shared with the company, be it an executive or be it a financial analyst, then they will be able to relate it better. So I think the same set of tools or same data across the company is the key to this, where they will all be in sync.
But I also feel at times, I think these spreadsheets and the reports make it look a little lengthier than they should be. I think personally, if you put 5 spreadsheets in front of me, I'll get scared right there. So I think...
Absolutely. That is why I'm saying that you do not need to have multiple data sources. You need to have one unified source, and that too should be automated, because we are now living in the world of AI. Yeah. We should not have things which are still sitting on spreadsheets. We should have things which are automated so that people can get real-time view of the data and understand what are the dynamics behind that data.
And summarized based on your expertise. Yeah, how you want to see it.
Exactly. Because you are looking from a different lens. I am looking from a different lens. But if we connect together and be on a podium to discuss and share our thoughts, I think we would be able to understand each other better. That's what I think. Along with that, what I have recently seen is, because of the AI, everything is changing. But I feel like our generation of operational leaders, I think for the next generation of operational leaders, they should look at this new upcoming era, because you have seen, like, you have sales ops, you have delivery ops, you have revenue ops. In the world of AI, all of these ops will be merged into one. The lines will be very blurred, because now you have to look from end to end. Then only you can sustain in the market. You should know delivery end to end and then connect the dots. So I think that is very much important. What is your take on that?
Well, I would say that I have mixed thoughts on that. I completely agree that you need to know end-to-end process. I just want to know that without having proper transparency of the data, without having proper clarity, it at times gets very difficult, because everybody comes, like, you have 8 hours in a day where you're working, right? And then you have limited tasks in your hands where you know that, okay, this is what I have to deliver. These are the projects that I'm working on for sales team. Okay, this is something that I have to do today. So with the given timeline that they have in their hands, it's good that they have the gist to know everything and they want to deep dive into, but it should come within. You cannot, everybody, I think they need to learn things about, with, like, not because somebody is telling them, it's because it should come within that I want to know about more. And I think there needs to be more workshops around it where you can tell them that you need to know more about these things. And once you start knowing about these things, how everything will start making sense to you. I agree on that part, that knowing end-to-end things is definitely going to help deliver things as well. Because at that time, once you have a task in your hand, and if you're just doing it for the sake of doing it because you have to spend 8 hours, then it's not, like, I don't think you can put in your 100% efforts in that.
I agree with that, but my question was a little different. What I'm trying to say here is, once you enter, so with the world of AI, the lines that we have drawn between these different operations, be it with sales or delivery or with finance, it is going to be very blurred, because now we need somebody who knows everything altogether so that we can function with the world of AI. You need to have single source who can drive all of this together. You cannot work in silos. Is that?
But isn't AI going to help you do that?
Absolutely. And that's why I'm saying that with the new generation of leaders, they should not be reporting things on what has been done. They should be working on things what is going to happen. So we have to make it predictive rather than reacting on things that has happened before. And that's what typically finance does, is basically reacting on decisions being made by sales and delivery, which I think needs to change.
No, yeah, I completely agree. I think on those lines, yes, with the help of AI, definitely. Because in finance also, we have a lot of parts where we keep it untouched. There are a lot of things that we do not know how we should be showing it to the company overall, so that they have the entire idea about certain decisions that were made, why they were made. So if there could be a line where we can tell them the story behind this, I think that would really help blur things out. And also, apart from that, I think right now, even among the leaders, there are a lot of different stories that run around which needs to be clubbed together, and there needs to be one single goal everybody should know about, that this is what we were trying to achieve, and how creating a transparency or the data clarity is helping do that for us. So yeah, I think I would say that on those lines I definitely agree with you. Yeah.
Great. And I think this is a beautiful conversation that we are going towards. And so do you have any kind of recommendation for the upcoming financial leaders, or do you see how it is going to change with AI for finance? What is your take on that?
Well, I'm going to repeat that finance is not just about spending, think about how to control the spend, or it's not just about the budget, how to fix everything into the budget. It's more about that, certain calculations that are there, the numbers that you are looking at, what story they are telling. If it's something like you need to know that there is a particular story that we are trying to tell with these numbers, and this is what we are trying to achieve. And then you think about, okay, this is how smartly we need to create a budget, or we need to make sure that these numbers justify what my end vision is, what my end goal is. So at times, you make certain investments, at times you try to control certain investments, at times you make certain decisions which has to be justified at the organizational level. So if like the newcomers or the next finance leaders, if they are looking at it, I think they should start thinking, having a bigger picture in their mind, where they would know that, okay, first I need to look at the overall perspective and dive into the details later on, that this is how, it's going to grow. Certainly, do you want to make any comments on that, or rather you want to say anything about the upcoming operation leaders?
I do agree with you that we do not only need to look from the glance of a larger view picture, but also from the narrow lens of how things are happening within a particular division. But my 2 cents to conclude this off is we need to be more proactive. We need not to report on things, rather we should predict things, that what is something that is going to happen, and we have controls in place. All right. So, Kriti, to sum it up, you are saying that we should look at finances not from the bigger lens. We need to look at the smaller lens as well, and we need to know what goes into each unit specifically. All right. And my takeaway from this conversation is we need to be proactive, and we need to just not report on things that have already been done. Rather, we should report on things which are going to happen. So with that, I'll ask you a funny question though. How do you manage finances at home and how do you manage work-life balance at home?
Well, great question. And it's not funny. It's a tragic question. because yes, I have to handle not just finances but operations at home, because that's how my upbringing has been, that it's you who has to make sure that if you're not happy, you are the reason for it. So because I'm a working person, I have to make sure that I have enough balance at home, in the office. I have a 3-year-old kid who is extremely naughty. So if I feel that, oh, he's very naughty, well, that's partially because he's more like my husband. But if I'm not liking how he's behaving, it's me who has to spend time with him and make sure that he's doing things, differently, or he's more creative into stuff. Same if I don't like who I look like in the mirror, then it's my responsibility that I hit the gym and, exercise and make sure. And in the office also, if I have to make sure that my team is not asking me so many questions. So in one line, I explain them what needs to be done. They do it, and then they update me about it. So I'm just trying to do that. I'm everywhere. I'm just trying to spend less time and more on a guidance side. And then my life is easy because they all are doing their own part. And I am doing my part, whichever is making me happy. So yeah, so I would say that this is how my take is. This is my personal take, that, coping mechanism, that somehow try that everything is working properly and not crib about it and just blame your husband or everyone around you on it.
All right. Thank you so much, Kriti. By the way, guys, this question was told by her to ask. So this is from her. Thank you, everyone. Signing off. This is Himanshu Bhansali. Thank you, Kriti, for joining us.
Thank you, Himanshu, for joining me in this podcast. It was wonderful having you and chatting with you. And thank you all for joining us.